My, oh my, oh my, do I have a video for you guys today. So I've risked $100,000 on a trade again. USDJPY, it was this trade right here. I shared this trade in my free Telegram channel. I'll put a link in the description below if you want to join this. It's free. I just share all my trades and analysis in here for free. It's just to help you learn how to trade. So I shared this USDJPY trade in here. And originally I risked $75,000 on that. And now what I've done is I've added a position right here to risk even more. Now, a lot of you guys remember a couple weeks ago, I think it was actually last week, I risked $150,000 on actually a USD JPY trade as well. I'll show you both of them here in a second. And that was the biggest trade of my Forex trading career. I was $150,000 profit. It was absolutely insane. I was literally shaking as I was closing the trade. I was in front of my videographer and my wife. I was like shaking, which normally doesn't happen. But that was the biggest trade of my career. And then after fees and commissions on that, I made about $134,000. So $134,000 USD after taxes. I'll probably be left with around $90,000 from that one trade. That's absolutely ridiculous. And I've done it again. I haven't won this trade, and this trade's currently sitting around the entry, a little bit of drawdown, but I've risked $100,000 on a trade right here. What I want to do in this video is I want to break down this trade, why I took it, as well as quickly recap the last trade that I won big on, because it's a trade that I don't think I've broken it down yet on my channel. And then I'm going to touch on a few of the trading opportunities I'm looking to take as we go into next week, because it's Friday. It's Friday right now, 10 a.m. The market closes in 6 hours here in Fort Worth, Texas. So I'm going to be just probably waiting until next week for some of these trading opportunities. Now, let's get into it. If you're new to my channel and you don't know how I trade, my name's Nick Sean. I've been trading for about a decade. I've made millions of dollars trading Forex, crypto, and stocks, and this is how I trade. I buy at support and I sell at resistance on the higher time frames. That's all I do. So if price comes to a major resistance zone, which it is right now, currently here on USDJPY, I sell. How do I structure the risk? I only use 1-to-1 risk-reward ratios. A lot of people freak out over this. They say, oh, 1-to-1 risk-reward ratio sucks, this and that. I don't care. I've been doing this for years. Nothing has worked better in my opinion. So I use 1-to-1 risk-reward ratios. I put a stop loss above the zone if I enter at resistance, and I put a target at a 1-to-1 risk-reward ratio. The same thing goes vice versa. If price comes into a support level, and it looks like price is going to bounce because it's bounced there multiple times in the past, all I will do is I'll wait for price to get into that zone. Once it gets into the zone, I will buy there at the zone, and then I'll put a stop loss below the zone, and then I'll put a target of a 1-to-1 risk to reward ratio, and I use a pretty wide stop. If price goes into profit, I generally hold it. If it starts going against me or going sideways, I generally try to close it a little bit earlier to get out at a little bit smaller of a loss. That means even if I only win half the trades and I lose half the trades, I make a little bit more than I lose, which means long term, I have a statistical expectancy of making a profit, and it has worked over and over and over. I've made money hand over fist for years, through all the losing streaks, through all the break-even periods, and through all the triumphant winning streaks, which I've been on for the past 5.5 months that I've been sharing all my trades live here in Telegram and on my Discord server. So let's go ahead and have a look at this trade. So as you can see, just from the screenshot I posted in my free Telegram channel, USDJPY, you can see I've entered and it started to drop in a profit. Now it's currently coming back. So it's currently sitting kind of around the entries, maybe the entry average, a little bit of drawdown, and I'm just waiting on it to drop. So I took this trade because of a very simple reason. Price came into a clear resistance zone, came all the way up into here. Where price was at on these highs, the last 2 times it was here, we've had nice big sell-offs from the zone. Price generally bounces at support resistance or it breaks support or resistance. So the idea is that if you enter a trade at these major zones, it gives you a great way to control risk. I risk anywhere between $50,000 to $100,000 per trade. And it's actually been going up, because originally I was saying I risked like 25 to 50K per trade. Then it was 50K to 75K. Now it's 50K up to about 100K on average, like negating last week's trade where I risked $150,000 on it. It looked really good. I really thought it would bounce. I'll show you that trade here in a second, like I said. But it's generally $50,000 to $100,000 per trade. Out of every 10 trades, I usually only come out and profit about 1 to 2 units of reward. So that means in a given month, if I take like 20 trades, and I'm only coming out 1 unit of profit, like per trade, right? That means at the end of the month, I'll make anywhere from $50,000 to $100,000 if I'm risking about 50K per trade. And that's if I take a trade every single trading day, which is 5 trades a week. Oftentimes, it's not even that much. It's usually like 10 trades a month or so, right? 10 high quality, very good trades where I can risk a high dollar amount on because I'm confident in the likelihood they'll result in profit. And then if they don't result in profit, I'm confident that they'll just be a smaller loss, and it is what it is. So the stats kind of shake out to about maybe 1 to 2 units of reward per month for me personally, given all the win streaks and losing streaks throughout the year. If I risk 50K per trade and I come out the end of the year, just 12 units of profit. That is so much money. That's a ridiculous amount of money, right? It's like $600,000. If I come out an average of 2 units of profit per month, that's about $100,000 per month or 1.2 million per year. It's absolutely incredible, and all I have to do is just trade support resistance bounces. So I have sold here at this resistance zone. I put a stop loss above the zone and a target below. I shared this analysis on my free Telegram. And if you go back into my free Telegram channel, once you join it, again, link in the description, or I'll probably just put it in the pinned comment too. But if you go back into my Telegram, I've been planning this trade for like a week or two. I was posting all the analysis. I was waiting for it to happen. If we go back here, this right here is March 10th. You can see we're at March 13th right now. So on March 10th, I posted this trade on USDJPY. I said I'm waiting for price to get up here into the major resistance zone. I don't FOMO in. I don't enter when price has already moved away from the zone. I don't chase price. I don't try to jump in real quick as it's running away from the zone. No, I wait for price to come into the actual areas where price has had huge bounces before. And then when price gets into that zone, provided they don't break the zone instantly, it gets into the zone, it kind of starts to bounce away a little bit. Then I enter a trade, stop above the zone, target below, risking a high dollar amount. And then I let the stats play out. Like get out a little bit early if it goes against me or goes sideways, and I hold the trade if it starts going into profit. So I was waiting for this. This was 3 days ago on March 10th. USDJPY set up, and then I posted in here that she was ready. So I put USDJPY is almost ready, March 11th. So this was 2 days ago. She had coming in there. She was almost to the area where I wanted to enter, right? She had popped up in the zone further. And then I put right here, USDJPY is now ready. Over the top. It's a World War I expression for trenches. You're going over the top. You're charging into battle. You're assaulting. We were assaulting USDJPY this week. So price came up into the zone. I entered a sell right there. This is where I called the trade live. I call all my exact trades in my Discord, but I post all the analysis and stuff in my Telegram channel. You can see here in the Discord, this is the past 5.5 months of trading history. I've made about $300,000 in profit before swaps and commissions, and this is only with a $350,000 deposit. I have millions of capital to trade with. I just don't put it all into one account at the same time. It's a stupid thing to do. So I do that. Then I risk anywhere from, it started at 25K risk per trade. Now it gets all the way up to 50 to 75, $100,000 per trade. But I made $300,000 in profit. So $296K before swaps and commissions on a $350K deposit. And that's all the results there so far. But let's go ahead and look at where I called USDJPY. This was the original trade. So 3/11/26. So this was 2 days ago. This was March 11th today. This is March 13th today. I called this on March 11th, 2 days ago. So I posted this in here. You can see where I entered. You can see my stops above the zone. You can see my targets down here. $75,000 risk for a $75,000 profit. So, and I put, I'm short on USDJPY with a $75,000 risk. Okay, cool. So that played out. It started working out. The day after, yesterday morning at 6:30 a.m., I put, okay, it's working out. Went to $20,000 of profit. I said I was still holding it. And then this was another trade, a separate trade, GBP NZD, it was just a recap on something from earlier last week. I think I made a YouTube video about it. This, then I've added to USDJPY about 26 lots because price went deeper into the zone, gave an even better entry. And so I was able to add another position risking 25K to bring my risk from the 75K to the max point of what I normally risk for most trades, which is about $100,000 max, essentially for most trades, right? There's only one trade I've risked more than that on in the past like 6 months. But that was just the USDJPY trade from last week. So I risked an extra 25K that bring the total risk to $100,000, counting the first position and second position. You got to understand, if price is going to bounce at a support or resistance zone, when it gets into the extremes of the zone, you should not be freaking out. Long story short, I entered a sell here, right? Put a stop below, target below. Then I was able to add as it went into the extremes of the resistance zone because it's either going to break or bounce. You should be happy whenever price gets deep into these zones because whenever it does, that means that it presents a really good risk structure where the moment it breaks the zone, you can get out at a small loss, but if it does bounce, you make a huge profit. If I win this, I'm going to win $110,000. And if I lose, I'll probably close it before the stop. I might lose 30,000 or something like that. So very, very good risk structure. So there's that. This is what it sits at this morning, $9,000. Again, it's probably break even where it's at right now because it's pushed back up to around the break even point for the entries. So we're going to see where it goes. That's the USDJPY trade. Now, the biggest trade of my trading career was taken last week, and it was this right here. So this was the zone that I was trading off of. Price got into this little support resistance zone right here. I'll go ahead and flip this arrow around so you can see a little bit better. And when price got into that zone, I entered. I put my stop loss above the zone and then a target below. And then when price went into a 1-to-1 risk-reward ratio profit, because I'd risked $150,000 on this, I added to it as it started going into profit. And then whenever it fell down to profit to $150,000 profit at 1-to-1, I closed it there. and I was able to have made that profit because of how clear this zone was. Resistance, resistance, support, resistance, and it came back up into here, and I just sold. That's literally all I do. A lot of people think it's crazy what I do. They think, oh, you can't do that. It's never going to work long term. I literally buy at support and I sell at resistance, and I've been using support resistance as the basis of my entire trading strategy for years and years and years, and it continues to work perfectly fine. I've tried all sorts of insane strategies. Nothing I found has been simpler, more efficient, more effective, and more profitable than just simple support resistance zones with 1-to-1 risk reward ratios. My hot take, my opinion, Lord forgive me. So I want to share what I'm looking at the rest of this week. Now, obviously, I think USD JPY will bounce here. If it breaks above, I'll lose 30K, 40K. If it bounces, I'll make like over 100K. Cool. Euro GBP, I'm still waiting on this one. This almost set up this week. You can see where I have my alert right here. I thought price was going to come down into this zone and potentially bounce, but it did not do that. It barely missed this alert, and then it started popping up. And then as it started popping up here away from this zone, you could see that I was not able to get an entry. So it is what it is. You know, missed out on the entry. Perfectly fine. No big deal. GBP NZD, I was waiting on this one. I was short on this one earlier this week, and then as it went into profit and started pulling back to the upside, I ended up closing in a small profit. And that decision was a good decision because since it didn't look like it was going to go into profit, since it started making all these like higher lows coming up in here, kind of clustering up into the zone, I thought we might get a lurch above the zone, and I would have been stopped out on this trade, and I would have lost a lot of money. I would have lost, I think, $75,000 to $100,000 on this, but I didn't because I managed the trade when it started to not work, and I closed as it started to go sideways. You can see all this in my free Telegram channel. Just scroll back. You'll be able to see how I managed that trade and how I got out of it. So that being said, that's GBP NZD. I don't see anything for right now. Euro AUD, I'm waiting on price to come deeper into the support zone. You can see I have my alert right here at this area. And if price does in fact get into that little support zone there, I'll go ahead and just clean it up just a little bit. If it does get here into this support zone, then what I'll be able to do is I'll be able to buy with a stop below the zone, target above, 1-to-1 risk reward ratio. Euro Canadian dollar. I'm waiting on this, though. I don't think I'll be taking it. Price needs to pop back up to here into this resistance, and I might look to sell. The problem is I don't think this zone is super clear because it could be this right here or it could be this up here. So I'll be watching this, but I likely won't take it. And if I do, it'll be a smaller risk, like maybe 25,000 instead of 50 to 100,000. CAD JPY, I remain waiting to see if she'll come up here into this resistance zone. If USD JPY doesn't work out and USD JPY breaks above and continues to the upside, CAD JPY will likely continue to the upside as well, thus presenting this trading opportunity most likely. And if that happens, I'll go in on this one. It'll be a nice trade. At least it'll be a nice trade to take. It'll be worthwhile taking. Whether it wins or loses, nobody knows, but it'll be a trade that's worthwhile to take. NZD USD, I don't see anything on NZD USD, and I think that was all. Let me just click through these right here. GBP CAD, I was waiting on price to get into this zone for potential bounce. It looks like it barely missed the alert and then it bounced. Let me drag the alert a little bit lower, all the way to that little wick low right there. If price can get into here, I might get long just because it's a good risk structure. You enter, stop below, target above. If it bounces, you get a nice big bounce, you make some money. And if it loses and breaks the zone, well, it's already at the extremes of the zone. So I'll just take a small loss and it won't be a big deal. I'm going to be watching that as we go into next week. AUD USD, let me just click through more of these. I don't think there's anything here. AUD CAD, she's kind of far away from this next resistance zone in between 0.99 and 1.0, but I'll be waiting for her to get up there. USD CAD, GU, I don't have any of these zones marked up here just because I didn't see anything. And as we click through, yeah, so that looks like it. Another thing about crypto is starting to pop up, which is pretty nicely. Maybe we'll break all the recent highs on Bitcoin and some of the altcoins. This is Solana right here. I do have a lot of Solana. I have almost $1 million worth of Solana. So we'll be seeing if she can break these little highs here and continue up. I've been holding for the past 7 months since the crashes in October. I started buying on those big dips, and then I waited. As they did more, I bought some more. As they did more, I bought some more. I've got a nice position average, so if we do have another alt run that happens at some point in the next 6 to 12 months, I'm positioned really well for all that. So I'm still holding all my crypto, still holding all my alts, and I'm praying that this USD JPY trade is going to be able to result in a nice, hefty profit. If it doesn't, I mean, it looks like it's still having bullish momentum right now, so maybe it breaks the highs and it goes up and I lose 30, 40K. But if it does bounce right here, it'll be a nice, healthy profit, and there's plenty of other trading opportunities to take as well. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to check out the free Telegram channel so it can help you in your trading. You can learn how to simplify your trading and grow as a trader. And I hope you enjoy these videos. If you liked this video, I really appreciate it. Thank you for that. And if you have a question, put it in the comments. Me and my team will read your comments and we'll respond to the ones that we think could help the most people. So thanks for watching. See you in the next one, my friend. Cheers.